John Bone. We're going to be looking in financial reporting analysis at a number of different areas, but we start fairly simply with an introduction to the major financial statements. Okay, our first learning outcome up here says describe the roles of financial reporting. And what we've got here is a quotation from the International Accounting Standards Board's conceptual framework. So let's have a look at it together. The objective of the general purpose financial reporting is to provide financial information. I don't think there's any massive shocks there. About the reporting entity that is useful to, and this is the key areas then. So who's it going to be useful to? Existing shareholders. So in other words, it's going to report the performance over the periods. Potential investors, so shareholders that are... Well, materiality is defined by the auditors themselves, and materiality is deemed to be something that is so significant that it actually affects the opinions of the users of the accounts. Sorry. So let's have a look at our audit opinions. And there are 4 opinions that we need to be aware of for our exam. First of all, an unqualified audit opinion. And this is what firms are hoping for. This is the clean opinion. This is the auditor saying, in our opinion, these accounts are true and fair and apply the correct accounting standards. So if you're a listed company, you need to receive an unqualified audit opinion. What happens if the auditors find errors? Well, of course, the company does have the opportunity to correct its accounts. So you can correct accounts and get an unqualified opinion. Now, what is a qualified audit opinion? So this time the auditors have found a transaction and they disagree with how it's been accounted for. Now, of course, the company could then correct the accounting and get an unqualified audit opinion, but if they refuse to, then they're going to get a qualified opinion. Sometimes we refer to these as except for opinions. What the auditors are saying is, except for the treatment of this particular transaction, we believe the accounts are true and fair. And then they will go on to detail exactly what they disagree with. More serious than a qualified audit opinion is an adverse opinion. This time the auditors are really saying, we do not believe the accounts are true and fair. In other words, they believe that there are errors or incorrect accounting principles that have been applied that are so pervasive that you cannot rely on these accounts to give you a true and fair view of the company's activities and financial position. Then our final one is a disclaimer of opinion, sometimes referred to as a limitation of scope. This time the auditors are saying they simply weren't able to find the relevant information that they required in order to form an opinion. They can't form an opinion, they couldn't get the data they required to substantiate the figures in the financial statements. Notice under US GAAP as well, but not under IFRS, the audit report also needs to provide an opinion on the company's internal controls, and this is part of Sarbanes-Oxley in the US. What are internal controls? Well, these are the controls operating over the company that are designed to minimize the risk of fraud. So let's have a look at some of the data as well that you see disclosed in an audit report. First thing you tend to see is that the auditors set out that it is the responsibility of the management team to prepare the accounts, not the auditors. Why? Well, again, a lot of stockholders incorrectly believe that the audit firm produces the financial statements. They don't. All they're there to do is report on whether those financial statements look true and fair in their opinion. They also state the independence of the auditors. In other words, they state that they're employed by the stockholders, the shareholders, and not the firm's directors. Okay, they'll also make a statement that they're properly prepared in accordance with the relevant GAAP, which stands for Generally Agreed Accounting Principles. And we're going to see 2 forms of GAAP